Okay, let's now talk about the expected value of sample information. So let's say we want to hire a forecaster. Well, how much is the forecast that he or she generates worth to us? Okay, so let's say we have our forecaster. How much are we willing to pay them? What is it worth to us? Okay, maybe not that much money. Okay, so up to how much are we willing to pay the forecaster is really the question we want to answer. And we calculate that with the expected value of sample information, or the EVSI. Okay, carrying on. Here's the formula for it. Okay, here it is. Sorry, a little correction. So it is the expected value with sample information minus the cost minus the expected value without sample information. We're going to define all of these terms afterwards. Okay, so where EVSI is the expected value of sample information, EV with SI is the expected value with sample information, and the EV without SI is our expected value without using a forecast or sample result. Wow, lots of acronyms here. Hopefully we'll make sense of them as we go. And SI stands for sample information. This is the result we get from our forecaster, or if we were to do, let's say, a pilot study or some sort of sample in advance of launching whatever it is we're going to launch, those would be our results from that sample. Okay, so also to talk about it more generally, sometimes your expected value of sample information relates to a forecaster. If you're hiring a forecaster, it could also, again, relate to some sort of study you do in advance. Of course, studies to do them also are not free, so there would be a cost attached to doing some sort of pilot study, for example. And so, again, this EVSI will calculate how much we're willing to pay either to that forecaster or for that sampling information. Now, the expected value with sample information, not of, but with, is the following. It's the expected value of the first outcome times the probability of that outcome occurring, plus the expected value of the second outcome times the second outcome occurring. And these outcomes are related to our forecasts or our sample results, if that makes any sense. So in our example, the first outcome that we looked at was the forecaster forecasting high demand. So picture how the ordering of things is going to go. You're going to hire the forecaster. The forecaster is going to generate a forecast. That is your first outcome that happens. And it could either be high demand or low demand. Okay, or no change in demand for this one. So our first outcome is going to be that the forecaster forecasts high demand in our wood pellet example. Okay, and the probability of that event occurring would have been the probability that the forecaster forecasts high demand. We actually found that was 0.75. Okay, and in our example, expected value 2 is the expected value in our example of the forecaster forecasting a non-high demand, so either no change in demand or a decrease in the demand, and the probability attached to that is that P2. Okay, and if you had a whole bunch of different forecasts or a bunch of different sample results, so if there's more than just high demand, for example, in our previous calculations with this example, we got into different levels of demand, for example, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000. So we looked at a lot of different possible demands. We could also have all of those options in this calculation as well. That's why I did all the way to n, where n is our total number of possible outcomes from our sample or forecast.